decision to stand around a bunch of Loud fans and cheer. I am ready to kick this game off, and it looks like the teams are too. KC and Loud starting it out on Pearl, and barriers are already up.
Well, no surprise. I had a little gander at one of Sliggy's videos recently, and he's been talking about this B site. A lot of teams leaning in this direction, much tougher to hold now that Chamber isn't in that pool. Already a little bit of utility being thrown out. In fact, a fast look at the retake coming through, and a battle, a brawl beginning.
Oh yeah, straight away it's the utility of Loud that grabs a kill. Scream, a big target on the other side, eliminated. No one taps to come from him, and the rest of the team denied any opportunities to fight back. They have got a smoke though, and with that blooming, there's going to be a lot of spams coming their way. Still a firing squad waiting out on long. KC need to try and force a duel on the back of that, or maybe they're allowing them to waste all of their ammo. Starting to run down to the final match for some of these players, but there's a swing! SAADHAK's got two, and they're just following up with every single kill. KC, practically no chance in that pistol.
So the only idea the KARMINE Corp had was, okay, let's try and get them spamming, get them to reload, we'll cove and then defuse. But that cove, it doesn't have that much health. With all the players on the other side just spamming away, broken within a second, and just dropping like flies. That's the problem with this B side at the moment. Retaking it in a lot of rounds is almost impossible. In fact, a lot of the ways we've seen teams do it is using Astra's utility, the Cosmic Divide. Now, yeah, none of them are playing. None of them are playing that agent.
Does tend to cause some problems, you know, with popping those Astra stars when you don't even have any. And when you look at the start of that round from Loud, right, normal enough, as you said, going down towards B long, but I love the post plant. As you say, when that cove goes up, they're not only fighting it, SAADHAK's swinging out wide, catching them going into the cove. So there was just no free space to be found that time around. Now, this round, a few pistols for KC. They've invested decently. So they do stand a chance in some of these fights, and they're decently stacked up towards the B site. So at least there's some things going their way early on, but look how patient Loud are being. They're avoiding running into this, and they have utility watching their back the whole way.
Well, I like the fact that a lot of what we're seeing from Harbor at the moment is using those cascades to just take portions of map control. Okay, we're going to clear these angles while they can't really fight us, and then we'll push a little bit further forward, and we'll push a little bit further forward. They also have the Viper wall down that is going to be fairly awkward to push through, and they're looking for the same sort of afterplant as before. And with such a huge weaponry advantage, they should be set to take this round fairly easily.
Well, yeah, right away ASPAS is showing his dominance on the server. They're happy to lose a player or two, upgrade some weapons. They don't want to lose very much more. And a few of these players are extremely low. A chance for XMS to do more damage, and he's really getting those bullets in there, but nobody's hitting the floor just yet. It's going to be tough with the firing squad, and in the end, nothing else to be found. Loud, get out of that with just 2 losses. Altogether, a good start to this map.
See, now one of the things I really want to premise about this sort of like KC coming in, because we talk about the first match, a little bit shaky versus a team we didn't really know what to expect from in the form of FPX. It came close, but also one factor that played nothing in that game and will play a massive part in this game is the crowd. In fact, probably anybody who was here, which I don't think it was the most packed we've ever seen it, probably would have been on KC's side because of how well-known Scream is. We've even seen signs today in support of that man. The crowd is firmly against them here. Every kill that goes through, there's screams going out, and for some of the players on the other side, they won't have experienced that before.
You know, stat just popped up that Scream is the highest headshot percentage out of every player. Oh my. You saw that fight down. That was actually through the cascade, which I guess just knowing the angle and getting a looky tap on that shot, easy trades over towards the double door, and Les is doing work. He's being flanked, but even now knows that player's coming, and even though he falls, they've got the site, they've got the space, and a 3v2 post plan to work with.
And they're looking to play aggressively. Don't have the best weaponry for this, so they're going to push within. SHIN can only get 1, and now XMS left in the same spot as before. A plant this time in a position for them to sort of hold much more closely, trying to almost bait him in, but they're ready to swing. He expects them to be long, and there is nobody there whatsoever. An adaptation from Loud, a different look from how they played the previous. Mitch, they've just won their bonus.
Oh, they absolutely look incredible right now. Rifles, economy, really stacking up, and very little to comment on negatively about their play.
Gross.
As we say, it's not even knowing the angle. They got sprayed at.
Yeah,
you just look at the tracers. You know, spamming that with a Vandal, especially when you're just stood on the corner, that is a brave play. A risky one, and, well, you see why it's a risk.
But that was the other thing. When going into the matches or maps that they won, they were winning every single opening duel. 17-2, and on this map in particular, 14-5 on both maps that they were victorious in the game versus FPX. In the game they lost, 10-11. So these openers have been crucial for KC to actually get rounds over the line. In fact, their conversion 4v5, I think it's like 20%.
This time around up against Pistols, you imagine this isn't going to be an opening duel for them. The other aspect being, with ASPAS on the server for Loud, I don't think the KC are going to get a ton of opportunities to find those opening fights. Right here, Scream, man with the highest headshot percentage. A few whips come out of him on the Sheriff, damage done, but again, he'll go down without too much trouble. The rest of the team now looks to just guard CAUANZIN, allow him to survive on the site, but hold on, they're starting to take some losses. This could get a little bit risky on the way back through. They need to deal with these players before it gets out of hand, and well, it's getting there.
Leaving it just onto NEWZERA. Rifle found, an instant headshot, and he knows where the other man is. Time is ticking, but Les will hold the line. Definitely too close for comfort for the round that came before them, but Loud is still 4-0. A great start to their attack. I will admit, though, I'm expecting the majority of rounds. 7 rounds on the attack last time out for KC. I think it was even maybe more than that for Loud. So you kind of have to look at this half being more dominant. But getting the pistol, getting these sort of rounds under their belt, and some fairly quiet starts on the other side, KC need to break back now.
Yeah, you know, Pearl in this pool, considering we've got Split and Fracture up next, I think it's fair to say, like, in this one, we can see KC start on the defense, maybe even that little bit slower, pick up the rounds after. The other 2 maps with a defensive start, I want to see them continue. Now, we've seen that updraft play coming out of ASPAS a couple of times over in previous games. This time around, we know there's no one on the B side. This is full retake from KC, and they've been playing this consistently. The one thing I will point out, right from the start, within 10 seconds of the pistol opening, XMS's camera was gone. They were checking it immediately. They know, like, it's a very common spot to be playing in. It's the trap wires in later rounds I'm interested in, because we've seen CYPHER struggle to hold on to that map control, especially when up against a Fade. So there's obviously going to be a few more problems there with clearing out that utility for Loud, but even still, they certainly have an interesting belt to work with. Great punish on the way through.
Yeah, great start. Having that operator onto NIVERA, we've seen it be a difference maker already throughout this tournament, and for him to get that kickoff and Scream to follow up with another, no trades to be had just yet. This is looking like easily the best start we've seen from KARMINE Corp so far. The question will be, how do Loud recover? And for now, it's patience, waiting back, not overfacing, just seeing if anybody's going to give them a fight.
Where they eventually decide to take it is heavily stacked up. They're covering their corners, though. TUYZ ready for that peek out of SHIN. They see the player on the right, the ultimate, giving all the information away. NIVERA forced out of the site, and he will just about make it back to his teammates. They want to hold on to the advantage. They will just about. NIVERA almost going down, but in the end, TUYZ, he's going to need that 4K to close it. 1v3, at least the spike is planted. They know exactly where he is.
Yeah, this is impossible. 36 HP, sectioned off by the Cascade, stuck in the corner, Cage going down as well. He needs to just hope he can find something on the spam, expecting this to maybe be a bait, but they are just sticking all the way through the cove on the other side, couldn't be seen. And in the end, KARMINE Corp make that one look relatively easy. They break back onto the board, and they have their first round.
Yeah, you see that whole time, he's just spamming through it, not even expecting to kill the diffuser. He has a possibility to, but the main, well, obviously not with the Cove, as we saw, but the main thing being he expects there's one or probably even 2 players about to go through that wall once he starts that spray. That's the trade they should be making, and, well, in the end, they had the Cove, so they didn't need to end up just diffusing it right under his nose. Good round for KC to get on the board. They certainly need some signs of life here, and now, right, their economy on the other side for Loud, it isn't actually as strong as it could be.
See, now Scream has the credits to buy up a rifle, but has opted to go. I wonder if he's going to try and wallbang something.
That tends to be what players are going for, right? But we see him start out on the B site. Now he's playing super passive A. You have to wonder what the idea is behind this. Maybe we'll see it come into fruition a little bit later on, or perhaps it's just his confidence in going for the ranged one-taps.
Already lockdown placed, trying to force the players back, and they will be moving their way into Flowers. Also a counter. Oh, does at least bring them low for a second, but no shots connected. They'll be back up by the time they enter the site.
Yeah, that's terribly unlucky. Those shots coming in at angle height, not able to grab the kill. Plant now confirmed Cove to protect as well. We're seeing that used a bunch here by Loud just to get that spike down. At this point, KC, they need to find a foothold to fight back in from. The leading ASPAS is something. It does leave the players that are also here a little bit more isolated. But that said, they're winning the fights one after another. TUYZ having a fantastic start to this game on the harbor, and there's no signs of it slowing down. The only question remaining, whether NIVERA gets to save this up, and he's certainly putting in the work for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It genuinely does seem like if you can avoid this man in the early stages of the round, you're going to have a pretty decent setup to get into the site. And with using that lockdown, forcing players back and just getting into the afterplant, that is where Loud are thriving. In fact, most teams at the moment on the attacking side are winning like maybe 7, 8 rounds out of like 9 or 10, like barely losing any afterplant scenarios on this map because it is so effective. Now the A side, maybe not quite as much, but it's just the fact they had such a good afterplant, managed to find those openers, and held on to all of the control. That was one of the things that was impressive, especially towards Art, being able to make sure nobody could come back in from that. His entire career in Valorant, we've seen him thrive. In fact, move away from that at other times. So I'll be intrigued to see if this is going to be a continuation, especially on Split. But again, this man is just so good at finding those opening picks.
I like their control early on B as well for KC. They've done a great job of putting up their cam and then also using the harbor wall to slow them down and taking the control. It's cost a little bit of time on the Loud side, which could have allowed KC to push up and gain a lot of control. The thing is, Les is not allowing them to have that space for the low cost of some refreshing utility. Instead, he is now capitalizing, walking right back up and, well, walking into B completely for free. I mean, obviously, you're playing this with pistols. It makes a lot of sense to group up on the other side of the map. But this time around, as we can see, it wasn't the right call. They're going to have a tough retake to mount here. At least a man advantage to play with on the way in.
Yeah. That's about all they've got going for them. They're going to try and instantly use the high tide to take away the space. Les this time is lurking back in towards the site. He is somewhat isolated, but I don't know if they realize he's still sticking around. Him and SAADHAK. Just with a filthy crossfire, still with snake bites to spare a Viper's Pit if he needs it, but I don't think he's going to. Just trying to delay and hold them back, and he's landing every single shot that's placed in front of him. Just 2 men standing, make that one. The retake is another blunder. Nothing going KC's way, and no surprise, NIVERA has to save the op.
Well, that structure that we've heard of over on the KC side, the elevated thinking, the strategies that could be pulled off without that duelist on their side. So far, they are being dismantled by Loud 6-1. And we're going to need to see them lean back into all that we were promised we'd see here. Even this, the fact that you have a guy sitting in the elbow that's Les, he's fighting off, and the second that he sees that first player, he has 2 teammates spraying on that angle, on that ping, to catch the guy that should be looking to trade. It's an impossible scenario, and add to that after Les got the kill, he threw a snake bite down, so it's just even more damage and even more annoyance to play up against. Retaking against this team is not easy, but it seems to be impossible from stopping them getting onto a side.
That's the thing. They have a couple of ultimates as well that are fantastic. Well, 3 in fact. You could use Viper's Pit to get onto a site. You can use Reckoning to get onto a site. You can use a lockdown to get onto the site. It's like they're prepping to be able to get themselves to an afterplant, and then they're comfortable. And that's what it's been so far. Again, those 2 ults still sit there. We saw when they took A, they used the lockdown to get that space instead. And with the B site, as we've already seen, teams have a lot of the time really struggled to hold on to it. SHIN, the timing's good, just about gets away with a kill.
Well, he's lucky. There were 4, just about to be 5 players on that corner. SHIN's gone down. And XMS is known to be up close. He's going to try to spray the Jett on the way through, remarkably staying alive for quite a long time, but not long enough to allow that retake. It looks like they're going to have to be fighting for that much later on, and through a Viper's Pit, through ASPAS as well. And Scream is delivering. He's almost killed him. Down to 30. Les has to get out of there. He's managed to sneak away, lose Scream for just a moment, but it's going to be whoever spots him first, and Scream with his 3rd kill in the round, stopping that Viper's Pit from having the impact. They've at least got 2 rounds on the board now, but that one was way too close.
No, that's a nail biter. Like, that's such an uncomfortable position. Just the timing of Les going through. Scream doing incredibly well to just land the shots, and well, 6-2, but just look at them financially. They're in the bin. On the other side of things, still a comfortable buyback up, so this can't be a one and done for KARMINE Corp. This has to now be the start of them bringing back this map.
Yeah, And off the back of the clutch as well, at least that's going to propel them forward, the momentum to carry into this round. The one thing they didn't carry forward, though, was that operator. We saw it just a couple meters in front of Scream. Wasn't able to find it, and so instead we have this light shield Guardian hybrid buy with some rifles. It's not the best. Oh, I like that wall through, slowing the arc push, allowing Saadhak to catch them through doors. XMS does his best to return, but they are far behind in this round now.
There's at least a couple of players here. NEWZERA, I feel like that was the shot he needed to connect. ASPAS still dancing, but instead, CAUANZIN's the one to walk into the trip. XMS just trying to find a timing, hoping that he can garner something from this spot, but with his teammates being forced back, and NIVERA up above, I think they're going to try and get the double swing the second that plant is tapped. Instead, though, it's an even trade, and XMS still standing.
They've done well to pull it back. NEWZERA hitting 2 quick shots with the Guardian this round. CAUANZIN was dropped on the way through. It robbed them of so much of their utility. This man left as the last one alive. The crowd is starting to get behind him. They know roughly where he was just seconds ago, but not where he's going. 40 seconds. A ton of time to work with.
They've got this wrong.
And KC had to roll the dice here. They had to guess on which side he was going to go. And, well, yeah, they've made the wrong choice.
Yeah. After breaking the cam, maybe expecting him to try and double back around. Of course, it's good for them to try and play this one together, but we've seen how fierce these afterplants can be. The thing is, though, he's placed it for that long spot. The one that everybody sits watching, the position that everybody's waiting for, and he's got the gamble right. He's waiting for them. The first kill goes his way, and maybe expecting NEWZERA to have gone a different direction, and instead he peeks just moments later and steals the round away.
NEWZERA certainly had a tough debut here on the international stage, but these last few rounds, he's certainly making up for it. Even the Guardian play in this one, and I would say single-handedly stopped them from planting on that A site with the damage he was able to do. And again, CAUANZIN survives that headshot, I believe through a smoke even. And they have a ton more utility to fight with, and I doubt they lose it. Considering how this round started out, they recovered that remarkably.
Yeah, really well done by NEWZERA at the back of the site. And I think the util as well from XMS, just being able to catch a few players and delay them enough, because the actual switch up from Loud was a decent one. Like, you get the 2 openings around that initial spot in mid, and that might be where you want to try and pressure. Instead, though, we're now going to have Loud taking themselves. The plan from his utility is it gets someone with the trip while all the smokes are up, and he gets 1 kill and they retake. Exactly. I don't think there's any real idea to try and fight this. Now, after the last couple of rounds, maybe expecting to spot some sort of gap, we're going to see the high tide used to just try and section off a couple of angles. But KC are actually playing in front of one of the screens, so they're going to know no one's pushed this way just yet.
Well, the water wall's down. Over on that defensive side, certainly stopped them from being as cautious around Art. We'll get a smoke up there instead to keep them back. Remember, KC aren't going to be too upset if they end up taking a fight around Art. That's kind of what they want. It's where most of their guns are focused right now. The problem they have to worry about constantly is less. We already saw him sneak onto the B side and completely surprised them. They're watching that camera the entire time, waiting. But look, with the noise they've made and the wall they put down at this point, KC think that Loud are looking to take B, that's where the push is coming in. They just doubled back to Art and found it free. Almost free.
Opener in. The main problem for them, though, is going to be SHIN. Like, he's not only managed to get aggressive, they're going to use the Reckoning to try and slow them down, and he actually has his Nightfall as well to use from behind. He could make this so incredibly awkward for them. Already going to tag up where the remainders are as they try and put the pressure on. He's low on HP, and for him, the most important thing is staying alive, not giving them an avenue out, catching one with the C's, just leaving them stuck completely. But TUYZ actually manages to find one, a second as well. Somehow it's left just to Scream, and he won't be able to do anything. How did they hold the line?
7 on the board, and it just keeps getting worse and worse over on this KC side. That looked like...
They should have won that.
Honestly, no, it didn't look like a hard round to lose until the last couple of seconds. Like, they did all the hard work. But again and again, we're seeing this performance come out from some of these Loud players. I mean, they are on home turf and certainly playing like it.
TUYZ was basically hit by a Nightfall and then a Seize, and he comes out with 2 kills. Like, that's absurd. This is also a very, very new role for someone like him. He was playing Duelist on his whole team.
It's worth mentioning what Shin was down to, I think, 30 HP at that point after he put out his first or second Prowler. So it wasn't an easy fight for him by any means, but at the same time, the guy on the other side was low and he knew where he was. It's one of those fights. It goes one of 2 ways, and this time it's Louds. We need to see a massive comeback from KC in these last 2 rounds, and indeed probably the last one, because here, pistols across the board, as we've seen, and they're playing a retake. There's lots of players ready to take these fights, but the weaponry just doesn't match up. NEWZERA with a nice double, but that is all he'll get. Loud, 8 on the board, and this could be an extremely dominant attacking side, Tom. You might expect KC to have a better second half, but hell, if they walk out with just 3 rounds, it's going to be real tough.
But yeah, that's the problem. Like, even if you look at their last game, ASPAS alone was able to get them a couple of rounds. Just when he pulls in that operator, even just with them doing pretty well in their pistol rounds, is something we've seen from them, not only now, but in the past. So, yeah, this is KARMINE Corp basically needing to get another round. I don't think, like, you can believe in the curses all you want, but I don't think I can sit there and go, oh yeah, no, there's going to be a halfway Loud.
Blade
Are
Storm.
unable to get that many rounds. Nice work from NEWZERA, though.
They were ready. They heard that Blade Storm pop. They knew this is ASPAS. He plays these rounds fast when he's got the ult online, and it was an attempted art peek that just went awry. Loud a man down. And KC, they've done well when they've found opening duels. It's what the majority of their wins have been based around. We'll see if they're able to get themselves that, well, they should be easy control. Look at this, SAADHAK, he's running it down! What? NEWZERA had no idea, and he has no intention of stopping! He's going through this after the Seekers. That is a little bit too aggressive.
An honorary member of W Gaming, it seems, at least for this round. TUYZ finds another. His shots have been crisp, but he falls as what is a trade to a KO. And up close, they're just being slaughtered. It's left onto less. He's had a great map so far, but it isn't going to be any more than that. KARMINE Corp at least do garner that 4th round. And I'll be honest with you, Mitch, if Loud play as they did last time on this map, that might actually be enough.
You know, that was an interesting final round. I think the fact that SAADHAK decided this less will have thrown, being as he's the only Viper on the server. So that didn't do him any favors stepping into that on the way through the wall, getting slowed up as well. You know, it is what it is. Maybe overheating in that final round.
Not having a duelist by just getting them so many opening kills. It was him and NIVERA, but obviously you expect a bit more from NIVERA on that defensive side. So he's going to be my focal point, see what he can do. And yeah, obviously on the other side, let's see what ASPAS has got.
Yeah, well, right away, he's got a bit of aggression, ready to go. They've spotted some players on the other side. That slowed him down slightly. The Sheriff in hand as he waits up, a wall goes through, and yeah, KC have a very good read on this early aggression. It's not like it's the first time we've seen it out of Loud on that A side, but they've got the control for their troubles. Still sticking around with 3 players on this side, and KC will look elsewhere to try and find some weaknesses. The Prowler inside of Art, it's a bit of control. They're really just trying to figure out what Loud's idea is. Have they pushed a part of the map? Are they giving up some control for this A-long spot? And in the end, they go back towards it, finding ASPAS, and luckily not losing their life for their trouble.
Yeah, they still have a little bit of utility to play with to try and get them in Cove as well, but they're pushing onto the majority stack with 3 players currently waiting around that direction, probably expecting a rotation. Okay, ASPAS has taken this control. I've spotted him. Why would there still be 3 players on this side of the map? Well, unfortunately, a 4th is actually rotating in, and they have to try and get themselves into that afterplan.
The wall sectioning off the site nicely for them here on the way through. KC have a ton of control. They decide to fight into Art, a pincer from each side. A really smart play in the Cove to allow for that plant. This is looking fantastic here. In the start for KC, and it quickly goes awry. 2 kills for Loud. And now the crowd getting behind them. Only a few seconds left for KC to plant it. They need to move quickly. And it looks like they'll just about manage it. Another kill, and all of a sudden, this is winnable again. The late flank really were most of the hope lies, and it might just be enough. SHIN, 1 more kill. A reveal going up and over the swing through. He knows that SAADHAK's crept around, and he'll find it. SHIN a 4K, and we'll go 8-5.
God, I was hoping he'd have a step up, but getting a 4K and a pistol round is one hell of a way to start, and it needed one at that. As said, like, Loud getting the pistol almost seemed like a death sentence. Instead, KARMINE CORP are now back in this game. And I like the ideas that they're coming through with, just trying to section off some of those battles, use their utility to grant them space towards art and almost avoid a lot of those initial fights. I will say, a little bit too much faith in the Cove. It really doesn't have as much health as you might think it has, even against pistols. So that's something that I'm sure they'll definitely note going forward. And NEWZERA, he's been having a very good game so far.
Yeah, again, it comes down to that utility itself, the wall up, and the Cove is pretty perfect for getting you the plant. The problem is here it's mixed in with that idea of splitting art. So your wall goes down, they see the Cove after the flash pops, and they're just breaking it. It's unfortunate for them in that those two strats on their own work, but the timing here just cost them that little bit of extra blockage, sideline blockage that they would have. KC winning out that pistol puts them to rifles, and a decent bit of upgrades there. If they can manage to survive this with all their players, they're in great spots. The problem is, again, you have ASPAS roaming around here with a Marshall, and we have seen him hit headshot after headshot. He plays his weapon like it's a Guardian.
Well, I'd be impressed if he gets anything this round, because they have completely stacked up on the B side. As said, that is where the majority of teams seem to be heading at this point in time. But for this round, at least, it seems like KARMINE Corp have got the perfect read. And after plant, they're not even going to need to use their Cove. Might save that to try and deny people access back in on the retake. And now it's sort of going to depend how much Loud want to throw at this. Do they think that they can get back in and do some damage? Or are they just almost hoping to die to the spike?
I mean, ult economy-wise, what you're up against on KC, it's probably worthwhile going for. You're earning more when you're dying than you're losing, or than you're giving away. Really, they want to be finding some damage, and that is just not seeming to be a possibility. 1 kill for less, 2 kills for less, all right. Not too bad. In the end, they managed to recover it into a decent position, considering the investments of KC. You know, they end up losing, I think, a Marshall, and did they lose a... No, it was just another Spectre. They didn't have a Bulldog to start with. They just had a rifle, Spectres, and a Marshall. So altogether, not the worst.
But it seems like they might actually invest into this. Like, NIVERA's gone straight in for another rifle.
One rifle's not bad.
Oh, maybe not. Okay, changing his mind, it seems. But they do actually have themselves the opportunity to get a Nightfall in. So SHIN has basically been getting that ult closer and closer to being online, of course. Getting that 4K in the pistol allows them to be in a pretty good spot and going to fight for that orb almost immediately. On the other side of the map, we've seen a very aggressive push coming through from ASPAS, just trying to challenge them initially and allow for some earlier rotations. The fact is, though, once that orb is taken, KC can go wherever they want.
Wise little cam play there. ASPAS was trying to stay inside the smoke till they stopped watching the camera so he could sneak his way up behind, but he was spotted. And with that, it looks like KC have made a very interesting call. It's not often you see ASPAS and you say, okay, let's go target him, let's go take him down. Dash still online. ASPAS not going to use it just yet. He's activated it, giving himself the option, and around the corner he goes, conceding the map control to keep himself alive, but he wants a pick on the way through. There's a tiny gap left in that, but it doesn't look like that's going to play a role.
Yeah, but it's taken them some time to get anywhere near this site. 3 players in on that rotation, the crossfire looking fierce. And although it's a couple of kills coming through for the other side of things, Loud are dominant in their sight hold of B. I don't mind the idea coming through from KARMINE Corp, trying to bait them a little bit early, and they didn't even get a chance to throw in that Nightfall in the end. A couple of kills, not bad, but again, they almost need to break back immediately. You don't want to allow Loud to get to 10 rounds.
The patience and the discipline shown and displayed here by ASPAS is incredible. He set his team up to win that round. In the end, he walked out with 1 kill. I have no doubt if he stays there on B long, he probably gets 2, you know, at least. But the reality is, he would rather play the map control, fall back, play passive, and allow them to win the round. You don't see that every day, and what KC were gambling on there was a mistake being made. Overextension by ASPAS trying to flank them, or being caught or trying to fight a corner and they could trade him out. But in the end, they had to fight the whole team before they eventually got a battle. This time around, 9-6, full buyout from KC. This is a round they desperately need, and they're finally getting the push out of ASPAS. The question is, this late in, are they going to be ready for it?
Look at the sneak back through from SAADHAK. He's going right up. Just place utility. He's expecting them to hold a little bit further back, but SHIN is ready. It looked like for a second he was going to have the timing spot on, and now with mid completely negated, this passive hold is actually working wonderfully for KARMINE Corp. They're using these Prowlers well, but ASPAS, that little bit further up, it seems like SHIN is still trying to check this out, though. But he might just be able to drop the spike, but NEWZERA is waiting. Clever stuff from KARMINE Corp, expecting Loud at every single turn. And there's only one man really in their way. TUYZ just sat back. He's going to manage to dodge that PC utility, but they are checking for absolutely everything. It just comes down to if he can get this kill. If he can drop the spike, if he can hold them back, there might just be enough time for this.
He's going to pop the wall back up, but they're being flanked on the other side. Screen dealt with at least. No, so they just look forward, and that's all TUYZ needs to do. This guy just keeps on delivering. XMS hadn't got a chance in that 1v3. They have just done the unthinkable in that moment as a Harbor. They knew he was there, but they just couldn't deal with him.
That is the second time this man has been hit by a Nightfall and is completely surrounded, and not only gets the initial couple of kills, just surviving around the utility behind him, but he then manages to drop the spike and force them to run into him.
That face says it all.
SAADHAK just questioning, where did we find this kid? Like, where did we get him
He's like,
from?
oh yeah, he's got one, he's got two. How's he got three? It's just so confusing to watch. But you can't look away. 10-6, Loud on double digits. KARMINE Corp, they have been struggling so far, and now they only have pistols to play with. This attack side. Not the promised land that we hoped it would be. There's really not a lot going their way. Sure, they didn't have the weaponry this time, but they thought they had the element of surprise. They were proven wrong pretty quickly. The spike in spawn and 3 players out just trying to duel. This one doesn't look like it has a ton of promise left in it.
No, this is looking like a pretty rough map from here on out. That 5v3 loss, just trying to isolate one man using an ult and surrounding him, that might be the death sentence here for KARMINE Corp, because they looked like they were in complete control. And then just a hero arose from the Brazilian side. Now NIVERA's found a timing, Les. It was so clean just moments ago. Maybe they can win one in the same fashion they just lost one.
Oh,
wow. Never mind.
That quickly puts it to bed.
Yeah, it's left on to NIVERA. 1 versus 3. First goes his way. He needs to correct a little bit too fast, and this man is here in the server again. 11-6. Crunch time now for KARMINE Corp.
And that's going to be one away from a Blade Storm on ASPAS, from a lockdown on SAADHAK. They've got a pit, and they've got Seekers on CAUANZIN. This is, you know, the worst position to be in if you're KC. Not only is your opponent dominating you in the regular rounds, but your ult economy is non-existent, while theirs is essentially entirely online. And then, if you lose, or maybe a lot of the time we'd sit back and say, oh, Viper post plans could be countered out. And so you could look at the other team and figure out what that could be best used to eliminate. But the reality is right now, Loud don't even need to go down that route of thinking, oh, what is that KO ultimate going to do? They're winning this on the fundamentals. They are winning this on their approach to the game, to the map, and ASPAS has an op here. That came close to taking SHIN out. In fact, it hit him in the shin. 43 HP left.
Yeah, he's been one of their better players in the second half, but that's not the way you want to start things out. And ASPAS only just falling back. Again, he's sort of just wasting their time, even though he didn't manage to find. Look how tentative KARMINE Corp is being. A minute is almost gone on the clock, and they're only just beginning to try and clear out portions of mid. They're having to use all of their utility just to check if this man is still around. Well, they are going to find him. They know where he is now. Does that change their mind of where they go?
Deep flash out of Sky. That didn't catch the Cypher. They think outside A is clear at this point over on Loud. Seekers, though, that's going to give the information away that there was a lurk, so no value to be found there. And the team looks to move towards this B site.
Oh, I think that smoke's just missed. That was NIVERA's. This is a nightmare, because even though they've taken out the utility of his opponent, it means that he could just sit there. A second one will have to go through, and even that has a bit of a gap in it for him to try and play around. NIVERA looking to try and fight versus this. They know exactly where SAADHAK is. Somehow, he's still surviving in this corner, stunned up and waiting for this peak to come through, and NIVERA's going to take it this time. A man advantage garnered and some space to be had as well. He even gets the second and gives this back into a 5v3 once again. Shin's even going to win that duel as well.
That might be all hope gone on the way back through. Loud, 2v5, time against them. They've been unbelievable so far, but they're going to start to think about just falling back from this one. And it looks like the call's already made, no more commitment. This round is going to KC. Again, the question of how expensive is it going to be for Loud? It comes down to null cost. They will save both of these weapons out on B long, and a very passive late round coming out of that one. I have to say, huge impact out of NEWZERA's ult. First of all, the fact that he's able to get NIVERA up into that spot and trap a player completely in the corner. I think that might be one of the stronger rounds we've seen out of that utility kid.
For sure. But I feel like the real credit still has to go to NIVERA.
Yeah, he was hitting the shots, right?
He gets the first kill and then also manages to kill off ASPAS, and that's basically the round over. It's whether or not that's something they can recreate. No ults online anymore. Of course, the null command was also in play to get rid of the utility that SAADHAK had, so he couldn't really do anything to delay. And on the other side, they now have that lockdown ready. The thing is, it might not even be necessary. Again, we're going to see this man just looking to challenge the extremities, and once more, very passive from KARMINE Corp. They're waiting, and in fact, there's an operator on the other side.
Well, we've already seen NIVERA's patience displayed on that ASPAS B long push. He held B long from spawn for, I think I'm confident in saying, 1:20, roughly. Just stared at one angle. That's not the NIVERA of old. The KILLJOY running down Haven mid with an operator, no-scoping people. You know, slightly different face on him these days. Better head on the shoulders, I think. A lot more experience within this game, within competitive FPS. That operator is going to be moving over to B, but so is most of Loud.
Yeah, that's the thing. They put the smoke down to almost try and fake them out, but because ASPAS is deep in this position, they can start rotating players back. 45 seconds, bear in mind, lockdown is still available. But this is where that take is now going to begin for KARMINE Corp.
Lockdown put into play, and they know there's a possibility of the doors push coming through.
It's going to bomb.
Being watched the whole time. CAUANZIN needs a little layup. K not able to get the shot out. SHIN with a massive kill. Still, though, going to be able to at least attain one player. Problem is, he is safe as can be. A firing squad watching him halfway defused already. Coke's gone up. They've got to get in there right now. They can't stop it. Just about. They've managed to kill the diffuser. The Cove broke the op. Was the one to deny. So down to a millisecond. But ASPAS will be forced to save. A devastating blow to Loud. That would have been map point. But instead, KC stay alive.
I'm not going to lie, I got baited, the crowd got baited. I thought that was done. I think it was actually the Cove just got broken, and then I believe it was NIVERA hitting with the op. That's cursed. That's so unlucky that he actually gets caught by that. Because I think they actually might have had some CYPHER utility or something that caught the first player that ran into the Cove. That's why KC were a little bit more confident that nobody was defusing. Instead, Les actually ran through exactly the same time and managed to get on it. I don't know how close that was, but, well, I think we're about to find out.
So there's the Cove breaking, and there it is. You can do a Jason Bourne on that. Let's zoom in, let's enhance. I want to see the pixel, because I'm pretty sure there was one pixel left on that. Unbelievable, and Loud call a timeout, understandably. Victory.
With still lurks being had on the other side of the map, everybody tagged desperately low. I'll be honest with you, I came in looking at this KARMINE Corp side and I expected a almost flash and dash style of gameplay with Scream at the helm, just almost trying to find the game on his own back. This is incredibly structured right now on their attacking side. They are playing wonderfully with the time. They are taking risks, but risks that are calculated. They're using their utility to sell their opponents down the river. This is not looking like a KARMINE Corp I expected. They are looking very good.
Definitely not looking like the KC that we saw the other day, and it's fair to say, I'm not sure. I wasn't in the pracs. I wasn't spying on Scream that much. I'm not sure, but I would say with a decent degree of confidence that they have elevated their thinking coming into today, Tom.
Sure.
Since we saw them the other day, the work has been done, and Loud may now have a challenge on their hands. Just 2 rounds between them, but here's the difference. A big buy for the Brazilians. They're coming in here with rifles across the board. No operator, though. And NIVERA, well, he's going to look to do work on that OMEN op, the Eccles classic from back in the day.
Well, that's the thing, though. ASPAS has stopped being able to take as much control as we saw prior because of NIVERA sort of taking these early fights and just shutting down that map control. They've also got on the other side XMS using the cam to make sure nobody can push up. So they're basically just denying him any sort of presence in this map. Like, he's been incredibly quiet comparatively to what we've seen before. Now they are waiting with a bit of a crossfire, an initial fight, and even a flash ready to give them that information, but it's gone a bit deep. They might not realize they're this close.
Oh, well, with the utility coming through, they certainly do. There's a paranoia coming in! Full blind, and he doesn't care! The shots are landing, SHIN returns, but how much more can be found? Too many defenders here! At least they might start to think that on KC. With just NIVERA left, he'll TP out of here. The A site now his, the plant not secure!
He's already here!
NEWZERA! TUYZ even! The wrong one. It's loud.
Oh, God.
I can't believe he was still waiting there, but I mean, OMEN having his ult online, you gotta know it. I just,
he
with
was
that
around
much, like, look, we've seen NEWZERA throughout the fake utility on B before, we've seen him attempt it, but it's rare that you see a player, like, look how aggressively they're making this push. They're full committing all the utilities there, and you know there's 4 players. But TUYZ just, again, impressing us. He's been quiet for a while, but consistently working, now sitting 19 and 10.
Yeah, he was fantastic in one of the rounds that they managed to win with him just being that solo defender up aggressively. But this round, it was more about just that B site hold and landing their shots on the cross. Again, though, NIVERA, he's just looking to try and take this into his own hands. They're using the Prowlers just to give him that extra space. Much more pressure put into mid, something we haven't seen so much from KARMINE Corp over the last couple of rounds. They've been battling those extremities. Now they're just waiting again to see if anybody's going to give them that fight. And with the smoke going down, I think they're a little bit wary that maybe someone's tried to TP across.
There's the snake bite coming in. That's such an annoyance to play up against. KC forced back for a moment. 4 players in art. The strategy really not working out in the early round, and they've almost lost NIVERA. He's down to 8 HP. NEWZERA, and I'm confident it's him, setting up some of his utility here on the harbor. But there's going to be one on the other side, and that utility is ready to be returned. They can slow down this push potentially, but that Nightfall, that forces them into the retake.
Yeah, that might get them into the afterplant in the first place, and they've also got the Reckoning to spare if they need it. They're planting for that arc control and just leaving XMS as the lurker. So much space to be had, and now they can delay that extra time. They can spot where those players are going to be. Already 1 kill coming through from NIVERA, the low HP player, but less responds.
That paranoia, NIVERA's best chance with 8 HP to help out his teammates. NEWZERA's been spotted though. Oh, there's 4 players ready to push from every single angle. Limited help to come in with NIVERA so low. He's gonna have to hold on here. A shrouded step into the corner. XMS delivers on long. They might have this. The attackers finally managing to find consistent rounds, a good game plan, and a fantastic answer back. The A site, there's 10 rounds on the board. OT is possible, Tom, and with the economy in play for Loud, it might be probable.
That's the thing, you look at the ults that were used in that round for KARMINE Corp and you think, okay, that was quite a lot. They've thrown in a Nightfall. They've thrown in a Reckoning to basically just not only give the site, but also delay on that retake, use the time against Loud, but it's so worth it when you look at the cost to their economy. A 1 and done on the board for Loud, and again, you're just seeing that shining light of NIVERA. Such a fantastic individual player. He's making this OMEN look incredibly good, and they're even trying to wallbang him out at the beginning of the round with his TP across, but again, it's just going to have to be this sort of passive cross hold from Loud.
Oh, much deeper control being solved for this time. The only times we've seen this from KC was like a fake, but they're committing and it's been spotted. Good spam through the smoke by a Stinger, the weaker weaponry. Already dealing damage. Another smoke shot from CAUANZIN, and they are starting to look like they're in control again. Back into a 2 versus 2. Not the way this round should have went to start with, and the flank from Les. It's left 1 man alone, SHIN, and he stepped into the stun. They don't know that, not necessarily, but they know that he's locked in, boxed in completely. The spike down on long. And with just 40 seconds remaining, he needs to find both of these players, or at least get that spike on the floor, rooting it out of a wide open position that he can be double peaked on immediately. Playing mind games with himself, not sure when that swing is coming in. At the end of the day, it's Sheriffs on the other side. He can't let them get a rifle either. And he's now isolated into a 1v1, but he's down to 5 HP. One shot needed, and it's delivered. 13 to 10. Loud have taken their opening map against KARMINE CORP, and Split could be sending them home.
It was scrappy at the end. The same sort of setup they had before. Contact off that alarm bot, using the utility to split the attackers. And then just some crazy shots coming off the back of the Sheriff, off of the Guardian. Individually looking sound once again. A fantastic map from Les.